All right, guys, welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in. I don't know what happened to my intro, but I was going to be working on some custom headlights for this video. I'll just show you real quick what we're going to be doing. They're already finished, but this is basically what we're doing. I took the Oracle daytime running light, and this is a switchback halo, so this will turn amber when you do turn the turn signal on. And normally it's a daytime running light. It'll always be white in color. And then I also do have a halo in there. This is a color changing one too as well, so I do have a remote for it. Changes a bunch of different colors. So I'm just gonna jump right into the video, and I'm gonna show you the process of how to get started and how to do these yourself. So let's start by getting this front bumper off of the car and removed, so that way we have access to get to both of our headlights. Both headlights are now off of the car, so I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown of what we're going to be doing here and installing. So these are the Oracle Lighting Accent Daytime Running Light LED strips. The ones that I have, if we flip this over, so these are the 24-inch model, and then they're also the amber and white, which means that these will light up white in color, and then they will turn amber with your turn signal or your hazard lights. They will change to that amber color, and hopefully I'll be able to show you what that's going to look like later. So we're going to be running these on the bottom part down here all the way down, and then running it up here. I've seen people also run them on the top all the way this way and then down. It's just preference, whatever you choose to do. I think the bottom's going to look a lot nicer, so we're going to do that. And then I also have here picked up some halo rings. So these are gonna go on the actual chrome bezels that you can see right there. So that's the one that's gonna go on, the one in the back. These are the 80mm size, and they also are color changing. So there is a remote in here to control what color they can change to. We're gonna see how these work, or if I have any issues with them. I know sometimes these remotes can be a little bit finicky, so I'm curious to see how these are gonna look and how they're gonna work. And so that's everything that we're installing inside of the lights. Now I'm gonna have to figure out how to wire these up and how I'm going to do that. So since I am going to be running quite a few different other accessories on the vehicle, I did pick up a little fuse box here. So this is just a four port fuse box, so I can run 4 different accessories off of this. So I'm probably gonna run a couple things off of each one. So this will be nice when I'm wiring in some different things. I have some relays, and this will allow me to run these accessories when the ignition's on, so that way they're not always running hot or constant. So we're gonna play around with this relay and the fuse box a little bit. Obviously I have some wiring so we can wire things up, some wiring up some different sizes, and then I also do have a accessory switch here. I'll probably use this on something else. I think for these daytime running lights, I don't think I want these running on a switch. I'm probably gonna run these constant all the time. So that's gonna be the plan. We're just gonna get these installed. That's gonna be the main part. And then try to wire them in. If it doesn't work, I can get to it later. Let's go ahead and start tearing these headlights down, and I'll show you how to do that here. To start breaking these down, I'm going to flip these over, and we're gonna look at the underside here. We have, it looks like 5, these are Torx 25-bit screws, so we're gonna go ahead and unscrew each one of these first. So now it's time to go ahead and open these headlights up. Now these headlights, supposedly they are basically plastic welded together all the way around on the outside. So you cannot heat these up and successfully take these off the way you can some other headlights. So the best way to open these up is to use some type of a cutting tool, like a Dremel tool, and you're gonna have to go all the way around the outside of the lens. So for this, I just have a cutting wheel on here. You can also use one of those oscillating tools. That should work just fine. But basically we're looking to stay on the very outer edge. If you do look on the edges of these, you can see that there is a little bit of a gap in between the actual insert on the inside of the headlight and the base part of it. So you want to cut right in between that gap, right in the middle, all the way down. And you're going to want to come over the top of these pieces that stick out here on the top. There are little bolts that do screw in, so if you go too far in, you're not going to be able to disconnect this headlight from this insert. So you want it all to come out as one piece. So you do want to go over the top of these all the way around. Come over here, again, stay in between the gap there, between those two where that black section is. That's where you want to be. And just work your way on the bottom side. Same thing, go underneath on the outside of these screws that are down here. So I'll have to remove that sticker, and that should pretty much do it. I'm gonna do this very slowly and just take my time with this. Once we do remove this, we will be able to reseal this back up, and I'll show you how to do that. And everything should still be airtight, and it should work and function just as a normal headlight, only better because we're gonna have our additional lighting in there too as well. I just tried out the Dremel tool starting off here at the top on this headlight, and here's the cutting wheel right here, and it did not work out. The issue is that it was actually melting the plastic because it was creating too much heat. So I decided we're not going to do that or go that route because it's just not going to work out that well. I ended up finding I have an oscillator tool right here. This will work just fine. I picked up some bits for it. So we'll go ahead and open this up here. Just after one bit in here that I think will work just fine for this. And I don't believe it's going to create that heat or friction to burn this plastic and just weld it back together. This is the one I'm after that I want to try out. I think this will work just fine. We'll go ahead, pop this on the tool, and start making our cut. Just start over here. This is going to be okay. We'll be able to reseal this, so it's not a big deal, despite the fact that it made a little bit of a mess. But we'll go ahead and try out this new tool and work our way around here. I just started cutting this headlight here, the very top of it, and it's going very slowly right now with this tool. It's just not quite getting through that plastic as well as I would have liked it to. We're gonna keep continuing on the process with it. And of course, it just started thunderstorming outside, and that looks pretty nasty coming in. We're getting a pretty crazy thunderstorm coming in. I guess there's a tornado warning and a storm watch out right now. It's about to start getting crazy, so I'm gonna wrap this video up right now, and I will be back out here in just a little bit, hopefully once this clears up, and get back to working on these lights. Now, I've been working on this for a little bit now with the oscillator, and I also did actually use the Dremel part just for a couple of the corners that are a little bit tougher to get to. That I needed to touch up. I went all the way around it, had to touch up a couple spots in order to get it off. Finally, it is now loose, so we can go ahead, pop this off, and it will come out with the insert as well. So let's get this off, just like so. So we are now off. I'm gonna have to clean up the whole inside. There's a lot of debris and those particles from all the shavings in here. We'll have to make sure to get this part completely clean before anything goes back together. Here's the inside of the headlight housing, and you can see you have the lens right here, and then this black part of this whole unit is the inner housing to the lens. So for these are, I believe, T15s. Now they do have the little piece in the middle though, so you need to have a T15 with a hole drilled out in the middle. So it's one of those specialty sockets in order to be able to even get this off. Or also it has them on these hex keys in here too as well. So I'm gonna have to go find one of those bits somewhere. I'm gonna have to go run to a part store, pick one of those up in order to be able to tear all this down. And then we can go ahead and move along in this process. Before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and I will crack open the other headlight so that way I at least have both of them open. So we'll get working on this one, and same story, do the same process, just try to do it a little bit cleaner this time. I just picked up one of these Torx bit screws that's gonna help me get off all of these inside little pieces here so I can get this inner cover out. And I also did just confirm the size. It is a Torx 15. These are called security screws, so it's going to be a security Torx bit is what it's going to be. It's got that hole in the end of it, and it's what's going to allow it to get on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull all of these off here, and then we can get this inside piece off. Once we get this housing out of the lens here, this is the part that we're actually going to work with right here and attach our LEDs and our halos to. So we're gonna go ahead and take this part. I'm gonna get the LEDs ready and we'll go ahead and make some modifications to this. I just took one of the halo rings out of the box here, and we're gonna go ahead and size this up on this little bezel. See how it fits. We are also going to need to drill a hole to feed the wire through. So let's go ahead and place this on here and see how everything's going to look. It does appear that it is getting caught actually on the top part up there, and that's why a lot of people will run like the horseshoe style halos that don't go all the way, that aren't a full circle. They just come up into a U shape, and that's how they avoid this top part. So what we're gonna do, since we have this full circle and we're gonna need to fit this in here, is we are gonna need to cut off a little bit of material right up here on the very top of this upper lip. So for doing that, we are going to remove this chrome piece right here. This will come out just on the back side. It's another one of those security screws. And then after that, it looks like there's one little tab right there you just push in. This will come out, and that'll give us a little bit of room to get in there with a Dremel and just file this area down a little bit so we can get that clearance that we need. So I took off a little bit of material in here with that Dremel tool. We're gonna go ahead and just loosely put our piece back in and try fitting that halo in here. And we're gonna see if that's enough clearance or not to go ahead and slip that halo behind this part right here, because that's where it's gonna end up setting. So this is just my first test fit here, and it does slip underneath that just fine now. It does need a little bit more work, it looks like, in that very back corner, right back in there. So I'll go ahead and hit that corner up a little bit more, and then that should be just about fine, and we'll be able to get this seated in here. We will need to go ahead and drill out like a small section on this chrome bezel piece, just to allow these wires to be able to set flush, to allow this whole ring to set flush on here, and for these wires not to interrupt, so that this will fit in here properly. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna drill it up here so that way you will not see this once this actually goes on the car. This top part here is going to completely hide that, so you're not going to be able to see any of it anyways. For right now, I'm going to go ahead. I have some clear epoxy here. We're going to take this, put this onto the back of the halo here, and then we're going to set it on this and put a little bit of weight on it just to hold it down and secure it in place. And then we're gonna go ahead and let that dry. This does set, and looks like it says 1 minute. So this is a pretty quick setting epoxy. So we'll have to make sure that we get this right exactly where we want it. So I have this epoxied on here now. I'm working on epoxying the strip right now. I'm just doing it a little bit at a time and keeping some tape on it to keep everything nice and tight. I have everything done except for this last little end part right here, still waiting to do that. I decided for the wiring, what I'm gonna do is just put a little notch in the side right over here, so that way I can just put these wires just on the side, and that way it'll be a little bit smaller and more discreet. So I'm just gonna do that with the Dremel, just put a little notch in there, and so that way we can just hook these wires right up there. I'm working on installing this LED strip right now on my second headlight. My first one's already on, it's all dry. So what I did was I take this one section at a time here. So I just have this part right here, and this is where it curves. So I want to get this spot on here secured first. So I'm just doing it a small section at a time and let this bond on here, and then I'll go ahead and work my way down the rest of the headlight here. This is a very quick setting epoxy. It only takes 1 minute. So I think that's probably better, so that way you're not waiting too long, and it allows this to tack up a little bit and actually stick on there just about right. And I have this setting about fairly flush with this headlight in regards to this edge here. That's how I'm gonna have it on. I did also remove this little piece that goes on the end of this LED thing. I don't know what it really does or if you need it or not, but both ends do have it. I have this end on. I may take this off, we'll end up seeing, but I just don't think it looks that great on this end because this is going to be the side you're going to see most. While the epoxy is drying on both of the headlights for those lights, I'm going to be working on, since I have these headlights open, I'm going to be taking this little insert part out right here. This is just a couple of those security screws. We got 2 here to take this plastic piece off, and then it looks like there's 1 on the top that holds it and then 1 on the bottom, and also there is actually 1 over here too. We're going to get this piece out, and I have some of this VHT Nightshades. We're going to go ahead and just tint this chrome up a little bit here so that way it'll darken it up. This chrome does reflect a lot of light, which bounces it around from this running light, which is also the turn signal here. So in order to clean that up and make it a little bit more crisp, we're just going to be doing a subtle fade to it just to darken it up just a little bit. I have these all set up to paint now. So we're using the VHT Nightshades. We're just going to go really light with this, probably only 2 coats. This stuff dries to the touch, they say within an hour, and you can handle it within 3 hours. I got this setting out here in the sunlight, so it should dry up pretty quick. So let's go ahead, get our first coating on, and then we'll probably come back in 10 minutes or so and spray this with the next coating. While that paint's drying, I have my headlights out here. We're going to go ahead and start cleaning up these edges so we can get a nice good surface back together for when we go ahead and seal these headlights up. I just have some of these crimp pliers here. I'm just coming around with this and basically just taking off these sharp edges that need to come off. I might use a razor blade too as well to help clean up these, but I'll do the same thing on this part here as well. I'm getting ready to go ahead and install everything back into this headlight. I have this piece in here right now, the piece that I painted. It actually looks pretty darn good. I'm really happy with that. We will need to route some wiring through when we put this insert in here. So there's going to be 2 wires that are going to be coming out the back, 1 for the strip and 1 for the actual halo bezel. So these are going to be coming in here and basically going out this big hole right here. There is this plastic plug that goes on the back that just unscrews. So we're going to unscrew this, take this out, and we're going to be drilling a hole into probably the top section of this. I'm also going to be cleaning everything just with some invisible glass cleaner and a microfiber rag. The lens is now cleaned up and the housing is too as well. I just have this set into place. I have all the screws affixed in here, and we're going to go ahead and tighten these all up, make sure that they are all secured. Now we can go ahead, set this on the insert here, feed the wires through the back, and kind of see what we have. And if there's anything else that needs to be done in order to make it fit, now is the time to do that. So let's set this on there. I do want to set these both on the car once I get that other one, and go ahead, wire these up and at least test these just to make sure that they do work and that they light up the way they're supposed to before I do the last step and go ahead and seal everything up on this. Now this is what the headlights look like. I just have these setting on the car. I only have 1 little pin in here just holding this on. I have them loosely set on here. What we're going to do is I'm just going to take a moment to go ahead and go over both the wiring on this car and show you how I wired up both of these headlights and how you can do it if you choose to do it this way. And also we're just going to go ahead and test them out, make sure everything works. I don't have these sealed up yet. They are still open. I just have them tied together with a piece of paracord here just so they don't fall open and everything goes flying out. Now there's 2 different wiring harnesses that come off of this, and I know I have a mess in here right now of wiring. I'm going to get all this sorted later, but just for testing purposes, what you're going to have in here is you're going to have your 2 wires that come out of the headlight. So you're going to have this one right here. This is your black one that comes. This is for the my actual LED strip, so that's my light on the bottom right here, and then the white wire is going to be for the actual halo part. So the white wire, this is the halo, and the black wire right here, this is for the strip. Now we'll start with the strip first. So there's 3 wires that come off of this. You have one is the red wire, and that one's going to be your positive. So you're gonna hook this up to a positive source. Because I wired in a separate relay for this, I went and I wired this directly up to my relay box over here. So this is wired into my little fuse box here that gets power to it when the car is switched on. So I'm gonna have a separate video for how to wire this up likely, and I will show you how you get power out of this from a relay. What that means is that when you switch the power of the car on, then you will be getting power to all these accessories that you're going to be running, such as these lights or any other accessory that you can think of on the car. You're going to have power to that. So all of these little terminals that come off of this are going to have power. So this, just think of this as your hot. So this is going to be my positive right here when you hook it to one of these. So I have one of my wires hooked to that, and then we're going to have a black wire also that comes off of this little strip right here. So this will just get grounded. So you're going to go ahead and ground this to any ground source on the vehicle. I just grounded it right here to the fuse box, so that works perfectly fine right there. And then you're going to have the yellow wire, and this is actually going to be for the turn signal or the blinker. So this LED strip, it lights up white, but it will turn amber when you do turn the turn signal on. So in order to find the turn signal, you'll have to come up here, and obviously the orange light inside of this headlight is going to be your turn signal. So you'll come back here for the wiring, and this is going to be the wiring harness that goes to it right here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull this light out, and I'll show you what to do here and how to find which wire it is that you'll need to wire into. So now that the harness is disconnected from back here for the turn signal, that amber light, we're going to go inside of the car, turn the car on, and this is so that we can get the blinker function working on the car, so we know what light it is, what wire it's going to be that we tap into. So we'll go ahead, plug the key in, and turn the ignition to the run position. So 2 clicks, 1, 2. And since we are working on the left side of the vehicle, on the left headlight, we will turn the left blinker on. So I'll go ahead and flip this down, and there's our left blinker right there. So now we are going to come over here, and we will test this wire to see what lead it is that's going to be turning that color and lighting up. So I have a little wire tester right here. I already have this grounded just to this little piece right here. So we'll just test this first, make sure it works. Just hit it on the positive battery so it lights up. Good. So then we're going to go ahead and test our wire here and see what one is pulsing with the blinker. That's going to be the one that we want. So we'll go ahead and test each one of these little terminals here. We're just going to go ahead and stick it in each one of these little slots here and see if we have power from any of these. So this one on the very right, nothing. And then we'll go ahead and switch over to the middle one. And if you can see, this middle one is pulsing just like the blinker. And we'll check this one here. We got nothing here on this last one. So it's going to be that middle one that you want, that you're going to tap into. So we'll go ahead and take a look here, see what one the middle one is, and it looks like it's this one right here, the white wire with the green stripe in it. So that's going to be the wire that you're going to tap into. Now I've already tapped into it. I just have a little fuse tap here that we squeezed on, and then just a little quick slide over tab. And then I also added in some wire that I did have to extend the wire on every single one of these. So you will need to extend the wire with these. Just use some bud connectors, works really good. So if you wire that into the yellow one and just link it into your turn signal wire up here, it'll work just fine. So that will take care of your turn signal for how to wire in that part. For the LED strip, we'll just go ahead and hook this back in here, and then I'll show you how I did the halo ring next. Each side, again, this is what comes out of the headlight. I just basically traveled it underneath the fuse box over here on this side of the fender, and it's going to wire into, just clip into this part right here. And the same thing happens on the other side too as well. I'll show you the other side. Same exact thing comes over here, and you go ahead, just click it into this. So this is the little Bluetooth connector that this has a remote for it that allows you to change the color of these lights. So we'll see how that functions here in just a little bit. But off of this, you will get two different things. You're gonna get this wiring right here. So all this wiring, this is going to be, I believe, the Bluetooth little interceptor or the antenna for the remote. So you'll have to put this somewhere where the remote can get a signal to it. And then off of that is the wiring part that you need. So this is pretty simple. You're gonna have a black one and a red one. Now I extended both of these again, as you should. So I have my black one just grounded out over to the chassis right here. It's a good spot to ground it. And then the red wire, I have tapped into another positive wire that also goes into my additional fuse box. So ultimately that other red wire does go to a constant or goes to the relay switched positive source. That's how you're going to wire this up right here. So that pretty much takes care of that and the wiring. So now that I went over the wiring a little bit, let's go ahead and get on to the fun part. I'm going to show you what these headlights can actually do and what they look like here. Here is what the headlights look like. These turned out absolutely awesome so far. I love the way that these look. This white LED strip right here looks pretty darn good and accents it very nicely. And these halo lights here also look really nice too as well. Here's the remote that I was talking about. Here's all the different colors that you're going to get, and you're going to be able to change the color of this headlight here. So if I wanted a yellow, we'll go ahead and click the yellow, and there's yellow now. So boom, so there, that's how that looks. You have a couple different modes on here. You have a strobe, fade, smooth, flash. So these are a bunch of different features. You also have different brightness settings too as well up here. You can also change these back to just white, so we'll go ahead and change these back to white. So that's just normal white. And then it also does have amber too as well. So we can change this to amber. Sometimes it takes a couple of times of clicking on this remote to get it to work, but I believe it's white and amber that we are allowed to run here in Michigan. So those are the two colors I'm probably going to run the most. But it does have some pretty neat colors though that do accent this very nicely. I like the purple a lot, and I also think the red looks really good with the blue color of the car. And I'll also show you, we'll see if we can do strobe here, see what that looks like. So I think this one just runs through the different colors, which is kind of neat. Now that's all the features that the Halo has, quite a few different options on it. I'm now going to show you what the LED strip can do. Left turn signal on the car. We'll come out here and take a peek at what this LED strip looks like. So you can see it now turns amber, and it's not that white color now. So as soon as you take that turn signal back off and it goes back to just normal, this will go back to that white color, just like the other headlight is over here, just a normal color. Or if you turn the hazard lights on, both of these light strips are going to turn this orange color. And if you'll also notice too as well, the part right there that used to be chrome inside, I did paint that with the VHT Nightshade tint. It definitely is darker. I like the look of it so much better. It's definitely a lot smoother, and it doesn't give that reflection that the factory OEM chrome does. While I am taking these headlights back out, just so you do know, it's not, you don't have to cut a bunch of wires in order to remove these. It's not permanent or anything like that. Basically what I'll need to do is this white wire will need to be disconnected. All you do, just disconnect it from right here where it clicks in. Boom, just like that. And then the other wire for the LED strip, so that's this black one, this has a little quick release wiring harness on it. Right down, if I can show you right here, all you need to do is just go ahead and unclip this to remove it, and then you can get this out, and that takes care of both of the wiring systems, so that way you can remove this whenever you need to. One of the issues I'm having with this is for getting this resealed back up is you see the size of this gap right here that needs to be closed in order for it to seal properly. This is how big of a gap there is for that plastic adhesive that I have to reseal, and that's quite a bit right there. That's probably almost ½ inch that we're lacking in order to get this pushed in. And if you push this in too hard, it's going to want to press right back out, and that sealant that I have will not seal it properly. And part of the reason that this is sticking out so far is because of this LED strip that I put in. It's pretty tall and it is sticking out a ways, so one of the things I'm going to do is cut off that little end that is used on this side. I don't have it on the other side here. This isn't an issue over here. There is more room and space on this side, but this side's definitely a little bit tight, so we're going to remove this and cut it off from here. See how much space that gives us and see what else we can do in order to get this headlight to sit in further. So let's go ahead, cut the top off of this right here, and we're going to put this in the caulk gun so we can go ahead and start laying some down on this headlight. Once you have a good seal all the way around, I'm just going to go all the way around this with my finger. Go ahead and just seal everything in and make sure you have all the areas nice and secured down. Definitely going to take a lot of time on this edge, this lower edge down here where that gap is. Everything is now on here and this is all sealed up. I'm going to give this at least overnight, at least 24 hours for this to cure fully, and then we'll take the straps off eventually, take a peek at it, see if it's good. If it is, then we'll go ahead and do our other headlight and do that the same way, same process. Both headlights are now installed on the car and everything is set and ready to go. That is going to be a wrap for this video. Hopefully this helps you out if you're looking at doing your own custom headlights or something similar to this. Catch you guys in the next one.